What if one of the most powerful senators in America returned from a high-profile overseas meeting, apparently healthy, apparently healthy enough to travel overseas, and then within hours, he's dead? Well, that's exactly what happened. And the official explanation, well, it leaves a little to be desired. It says sudden illness, cardiac arrest. No lengthy medical history released, no detailed timeline, just a few sentences. And for many people, that's not enough. For others, it raises a whole lot of questions. I'm going to try and answer them here. Maybe. I'm probably just going to ask them and let you choose to answer them yourself. Let's begin with what we know. Lindsey Graham had just returned from the Ukraine after meeting with President Zelensky. He was giving interviews, he's traveling internationally, and roughly within a day, he was dead. Now that's the timeline. Everything else starts to become less clear. Whether you're talking about intelligence operations, political assassinations, defections, or other mystery deaths, people remember stories, some proven and some never solved. Some are eventually explained. Others are still debated decades later. Think about the JFK situation. We're still asking questions about that. But whenever someone connected to international politics dies suddenly, the internet starts filling in the blanks, sometimes correctly and often incorrectly. Notice these are questions, not answers. Was he ill before leaving? Did anyone traveling with him mention health concerns? Was an autopsy performed? I'm pretty sure it hasn't been yet, but maybe it will be. What about toxicology results? What exactly is meant by brief and sudden illness? I mean, does that mean he had a heart attack? Maybe he had an undiagnosed medical condition? Could long distance travel have contributed? Could it have been completely unrelated to the Ukraine? Right now, we don't know. I will tell you this. It is very suspicious that he goes to the Ukraine, meets with the president of the Ukraine, and within hours, he's dead. I've seen things like this before. And it doesn't pass the smell test. I'm going to tell you that right now. Is there something about international travel that captures people's imagination? Diplomatic meetings, closed doors conversations. You've seen it. You've seen it on TV and in the movies where the guy goes to the park bench with the briefcase and another guy sits down to him and they switch briefcases and stuff. It's called a dead drop, and that's actually done. But in this case, you know, he traveled overseas to visit the president of the Ukraine. So there were diplomatic meetings and there were closed door conversations. Intelligence agencies were watching what was going on. And of course, we're in the middle of a huge military conflict that has raged on for years between Russia and the Ukraine, and the United States is smack dab in the middle of it. When a public official dies shortly afterwards, after taking such a mission, people naturally collect all those events. But connecting two events doesn't establish what one calls the other. The human brain's wired to look for patterns, and sometimes those patterns reveal something important, and sometimes they just create stories where none exist. But the internet investigation is raging on. Social media is already producing theories, and by the way, I share some of these. But some of the theories on the internet are he was poisoned, he was hit with radiation, biological agents, stress. Some are even saying it's vaccines that did it. Some are claiming that foreign intelligence caused his demise. Others are saying domestic intelligence, and some are saying his political rivals. Every major event today seems to generate dozens of competing explanations before the investigators have ever raised basic information. And I can assure you that the political rivals story, that angle is going to be wide open on the internet in the next 24 to 48 hours. But what do you think? Do you think I know you've heard of Havana syndrome, and that's directed energy weapons that are used against people. And it was first discovered a few years back, and it was named Havana syndrome. Do you think that's an option? Do you think it's a possibility? I I don't know. I don't know what the answer is, but I do know that it is possible to use a directed energy weapon from distance and target someone and never be seen. That's what you're doing. Was Lindsay assassinated? We don't know. We may never know, but it is very, very suspicious that he would travel to the Ukraine and come back and die. So with Senator Graham, there's some questions that really need answering, such as his medical history, any recent symptoms that he had, travel records. Did he go anywhere besides the Ukraine? You know, there'll be witness statements. What medications was he taking? What environmental exposures? And I sure hope that they do a toxicology report, because this whole situation doesn't seem right. Man appears to be healthy, and then just he suddenly gets sick and dies. But those are standard investigative steps, and until results are released, outsiders don't really have enough information to reach a reliable conclusion. We can only speculate. Personally, I have my own feelings, and I'm going to hold them to myself right now. But I will tell you this: natural causes, in my opinion, is maybe a 5% plausibility. So I'm saying 95% plausibility that it was not natural causes. So maybe this story turns out to be exactly what officials say: a sudden medical illness, nothing more. Or maybe additional information eventually fills in the timeline. Right now, we really don't know, but it is a mystery. And we don't know if something sinister happened. It's possible, but we don't know. The mystery is that we know very little. We have 2 or 3 sentences to base everything on. He came back, he got sick, he died. That's pretty much what we've been told. I think we're being treated like mushrooms. Keep us in the dark and feed us, well, you know what mushrooms eat. In the absence of information, people create narratives. Some become facts, some become myths. So I'm going to continue to follow the evidence wherever it leads. And I'll try and resist the temptation to mistake unanswered questions for answered ones. Because asking questions is healthy and jumping to conclusions is not. I have what I call a swag about the situation. And a swag is a term that we used in military intelligence. It stands for scientific wild ass guess. So basically, from what I know of Graham, his political affiliations, and his stance on the war overseas, that's why I say there's 95% chance, in my opinion alone, that this is not natural causes. Stick around. I'm going to cover this some more as some more information comes up. I have my suspicions that what used to be a 3-letter agency of a foreign government is involved. But time will tell, and we'll see. This has been Todd Edwards. I'm TickBite NC, and catch me on the next one.